Today, I want to talk about some of the ideas that we've seen with the hundreds of people that I've interviewed over the years and dozens of people that we've coached around the three main things that we want out of a career to feel satisfied and fulfilled, the three main blockers in preventing us from getting there, and then the three solutions and one plan to actually overcome those roadblocks so that we can make more impact, build more influence, and earn more income without burning out, even if we're introverted or we hate self promotion. I think feeling introverted or wanting to avoid cringeworthy self promotion is a big thing that holds a lot of people back in our careers. And so I want to talk about how we can get past that. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to talk about the big wrong idea. And this is really just to point out that the majority of people think that career growth happens by climbing a ladder in a very specific sequence of steps. And this is really flawed because it actually encourages people to hold back and not think about the all the variables that go into actually growing your career. And when we can accept this fact that career growth is not really a ladder, it's actually more of a flywheel. And when you understand that it is a flywheel, you can understand that you can accelerate and move faster. And it's also more flexible. And so we're going to unpack our flywheel and how we help you grow your career faster. But I want to just, first of all, shift the belief of career growth is not a ladder. It requires a flywheel to do this in a way that's faster and more flexible to create a career that really is ideal for yourself. Let's get into it. First of all, the three main problems that hold people back from more impact, influence, and income is feeling bored. For some folks, this is golden handcuffs or really just feeling unchallenged in your day to day. It's really easy to slip into this and just be in that comfort zone, but it's not fulfilling and isn't very sustainable. The second big problem is feeling ignored. And this might be the most frustrating of them all, where you feel like you've got amazing ideas. You know that you can make some big impact if you just get the chance, and maybe you're not being heard or you're not getting the buy-in that you want, and maybe you don't have the influence that you'd like in your organization or on your team. And so this is feeling ignored is super frustrating. It makes you feel underappreciated, undervalued. And so we want to help you fix that. And the third big problem here is just feeling confused. And sometimes this is like confused about what the next step is or what skills are important to learn to get to that next step. Or sometimes it's about being confused about our worth and what we bring to the table. And sometimes this can show up in the form of imposter syndrome. So we want to help you fix these three problems: bored, ignored, and confused. And it's helpful to understand there's some context about why those problems exist in the first place and why they're so common. And so I want to just set the stage for why tech leaders even exists and why it's so common to feel these problems. And one is that there's a long tail of career development. So many people put a ton of effort and money and focus into getting their first entry-level position, but that's actually the easiest job of their career. And there's a whole long tail of things you need to learn and get exposed to over the course of an entire career. And when people don't reinvest into their growth throughout that long tail of their career, that's when they can start to feel bored and stuck in a rut. And so the second important thing to keep in mind here is that the majority of companies don't really have the right incentives in-house to properly develop careers. And companies are always going to be focused on what they need to do to develop you to get to what they need and the company level objectives, but it's not necessarily the best thing for yourself. And it's not necessarily in your personal best interests. And so there's a lot of advantage to having career guidance and development outside of your company because it's going to be in service of you and not the company's interests in you. And the third big thing here to keep in mind is a lack of psychological safety that often exists inside of companies when it comes to personal growth and career development. And so a lot of times it can be too risky to ask certain questions or receive mentorship from someone within your company. And so seeking a program outside with a safe space and the psychological safety where you can be vulnerable and honest about what you don't know so that we can fill that gap and help you get to where you need to be. And so these three things are three really big pieces of context about why bored, ignored, and confused are such a problem in our industry. And so the good news is that we've got three solutions for those problems, and this is what makes up the flywheel. And I want to talk about how these work, but first of all, high level, the three main steps of our process and the three solutions to feel it, fixing bored, ignored, and confused is identifying clear direction. When you've really identified where you want to go clearly, it's much easier to get there faster because you've identified with precision what your next role is. A lot of people have general guidance or general ideas of where they want to go, but the vagueness of that actually slows you down. And so we want to help you get really clear and identify what is that specific thing, that outcome that we're going to help you get for your next opportunity. And then the next thing would be then once you've identified that clear direction, it's much easier to advance with confident action. And sometimes to take confident action, we need to learn some new skills or upgrade our thinking and acquire some new mindsets, new perspectives. And so advance is all about taking that action to get that ideal role after we've identified it. And then once we've advanced and we've grown our skills, we've added in what we need to know to get to the next level. Now it's time to actually shine in that ideal role. A lot of people focus on like getting to the next level, but not necessarily staying there. And this is a really important part of the process where we help you really succeed once you're in that new role. So you feel strong and confident and ready to take on the next level whenever the time is right to continue moving on. So these are the three steps of our process that become actually a virtuous cycle and help accelerate the flywheel of career growth over the whole duration of your career. So let's get into some of the details of how our process works and the mechanics of solving the bored, ignored, and confused so that we can deliver on the three things that we all want in our career, which is more impact, more influence, and more income. So if I just draw in here our steps of the process, we've got identify, we have advance, and we have shine. So these are the three stages that we use to grow your career in a very methodical way. And when we have these phases engaged, all three at the same time, then we're going to end up with some ideal outcomes here. So ideal role, clear direction, and confident action. And when we can have clear direction, we can take confident action, and we are in our ideal role, that's really the sweet spot of having more impact, influence, and income. And when we have these things, these problems completely fall away. We feel engaged, we're excited, we are being listened to and respected, and we have certainty about where we're going. And these three phases create these three outcomes. And in these phases, I want to unpack a little bit about how those work. We use something called the MVP, and that stands for the Minimum Viable Plan tool. And this is a self-assessment to get really clear on what makes you unique from other people in the job market, and really getting clear on what's the intersection of what you love to do, what's most valuable, and who needs it the most. And through the MVP tool and some coaching from us, we're going to be able to get really objective on how to differentiate yourself and make sure that we're fitting you with the ideal best role for you as the next step in your career. And so with some coaching and with this assessment tool, it's really easier to get objective and have a sounding board on how you're perceived, what your new reputation needs to be, so we can help you define that reputation and spread the word. So once we have your plan, that goes into your personal roadmap. And now we're starting to move into the advanced phase where you're actually taking action on that roadmap. That roadmap is going to be a set of new knowledge that you need to gain, new trainings that you're going to need to take, new actions that you're going to need to do to actually get into that new ideal role that you want to shine in. Once you're in the advanced phase, that roadmap is going to be your personalized learning plan for the entire time of your program. As we're learning new things and maybe you identify another skill that you need to get to the next role, we'll add that to your advancement plan, and then you'll go through the training for that and you'll master that skill so that you've got it when you need it. Then in the shine phase, this is all about the rest of the toolbox, which is a lot of playbooks and other trainings and coachings to help you really nail the role once you're in it. A lot of times people can be intimidated when they get that promotion. It's a whole new level of responsibility, new ways of thinking. And the toolbox and the mastermind are going to be the two things that you really fall back on to feel supported and so that you're actually succeeding in this new role. And so the mastermind is an amazing place to share information with others, learn what's working for people all over the world at different levels, and really just establish best practices when it comes to leadership and having that influence and income and impact that we all want in our career. This here is the overall structure of how our program works. It's multi-modality learning, so that you're getting coaching, you're getting mentorship, you're getting instruction and training all simultaneously to fill any gaps in skills or knowledge that you might have that might be holding you back from that next level in your career. Whether you want to get promoted into management and leadership, or you want to start your own business as a fractional CTO or other consultant, the same process works for getting really clear on where you're headed, what you need to learn to get there, and then how you can succeed in the role once you're there. If you want more details on how our program works, the logistics, etc., just drop details in the comments here and I'll send you a document that outlines more of this. So thank you for watching, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions.